Welcome back to the Classy Career Girl podcast. I am excited to be back. We took a summer break and I am now super motivated and excited to get you some podcasts back to you guys this fall, all with answers to questions that I have been getting. So I have been talking to a lot of you guys over the summer, a lot of clients, a lot of women who want to become coaches or women who want to start businesses. And so I've been collecting all the questions that I've been getting. And I am super excited because we're going to be releasing episodes of me answering those questions that I've been getting. So I hope you guys are having a great fall. Today, we are going to talk about what happens if your boss finds out that you are building a business on the side. And this came from a question I just got the other day. Like, what happens? I'm scared to put myself out there. I'm scared to go on social media. I'm scared to do anything in my new business because what if my boss finds out? And so instead, you do nothing because you're scared of your boss finding out. Does that sound familiar? Any of you guys feel that way? I know what that was like. I was scared as well, and that is why Classy Career Girl was named Classy Career Girl. It wasn't under my name on a Runyon. It's under Classy Career Girl because when I started, I felt the exact same way. I was working at a consulting company. I worked at Booz Allen Hamilton for 8 years, and in year about 5 or 6 was when I really started to get serious about my business and my future and my vision. And that is when I started to think about, okay, can I now be on a Runyon or do I still need to kind of be hiding behind this Classy Career Girl brand because I did not put my face on my blog. I did not share my name. I did not share anything about me. And so I clearly remember the moment when I just knew my future was Classy Career Girl. My future was a full-time business owner. It becomes clear as you start to take action and start to work with your clients. I knew that that was my future. This was before kids. So I knew that my consulting lifestyle, I was working very, very long hours. I was getting calls from clients all weekend long, which was not fun. I was traveling once a month. From Monday through Friday, I went from the West Coast to the East Coast and spent the whole week away from my husband, which at the time, when I started that job, I really enjoyed that. That was really neat. Things change, your interests change as you as you get older in your career. And so that was changing for me. Like when I started that job, I really enjoyed the travel. I really enjoyed that lifestyle. I really enjoyed it was a little stressful and it was very challenging, but I enjoyed that in the beginning. And after about 5 or 6 years, I was like, this is a little too stressful. This is not the life that I want to have for the next 20, 30 years until retirement, right? Like, I need to do something else. I need to make more of an impact. I feel a little stuck here. I need to do something else. And I want more balance. I want more free time. I want more flexibility in my schedule because I knew that I wanted to be a mom someday. So that's kind of what changed for me. There was this moment where I just knew my future was my business. And so I didn't care if my boss found out. Now, there's a couple things I was doing. I was just making sure that I was doing my best job at work. So if my boss did find out, he, wouldn't care, wouldn't know. I actually had like two bosses above me, and I'll tell you the story. They eventually both found out. But I put everything into my 9 to 5. Like I worked my butt off. So when they did find out, they knew that there wasn't a conflict of interest. I wasn't using my work hours for my business, my entrepreneurship activities, right? Like from 9 to 5 or however many hours I was working that day, I was all in. I was the cubicle girl. I would eat lunch at my desk. I worked so hard for my company that caused the stress, right? I was a little bit of a perfectionist. It led to a lot of stress. But I worked hard, so I knew that when they did find out, if they did find out, there wouldn't be a worry. They knew I was devoted to my day job. And then when I would leave, so I did have a commute. It was like a 45-minute drive. I also had to walk to my car. That took about 10, 15 minutes as well too. So there was an hour every day, like before work and after work, where I would listen to entrepreneurship podcasts, just like you're doing right now. I would become an entrepreneur. I would become a career coach. I would do everything I could to learn about starting a business. So when I walked out that day job door, I was an entrepreneur. I was a career coach, and I tried not to even think about my day job because unless I got some calls, I tried not to check my email. I tried not to think about my day job because my future was my business. My future was Classy Career Girl, and that was like where I was going to focus my time after work and on weekends. And my day job, um, I tried very hard to be grateful and thankful for that job. Even though it was kind of a tough time, though it was very high stress. There was a time where everyone quit and I was doing four people's jobs because no one else could handle the pressure and the stress. But I stayed and I did all their jobs for them. And I worked a lot of overtime and it was very, very stressful. But I got promotions and I got awards, and it was at that time that's where I wanted to focus, but I just knew that wasn't the life I wanted forever. So I know a lot of people stay stuck because of this fear of your boss finding out. So let's talk about what happened for me and what I recommend for you if you're worried about your boss finding out that you have a business on the side. So the first thing that I recommend is to review your contract, review what you signed when you started your business. Now, if you're starting a business that is in direct competition to your day job, then you want to be very careful. For me, my day job, I was a consultant for the military. I was doing financial management for a Navy shipbuilding program. So my career coaching business was a completely different thing than my day job. So even though I was doing some consulting and training and coaching, it was on a completely different topic. So me starting a business wasn't a competition from my day job. I wasn't taking Navy clients from my day job. I had a completely different market, a completely different business. And so that helped me be confident in doing this business on the side, putting myself out there. I was even, but after I put my name out there, that's when things really started to grow for me because I was a real person. I could do videos on YouTube. And so people could start to actually connect with me personally and see me personally. So I highly recommend, as soon as you can get there with your mindset, having that confidence to put yourself out there, no matter if your boss finds out, because when I did that, that's when actually everything started to really grow for me. The Forbes feature, I don't think Forbes would have put us on their top 35 most influential career sites if I wouldn't have been a real person and had my face on my About Me page. And, all those things, the Wall Street Journal wouldn't have called me to interview if my face wasn't on my website, right? So all these things can actually happen when you put yourself out there as a real person. And so that is very, very important. Something that you really want to do. Like I said, you want to review your contract. Key things to look for if there's any like non-compete clauses, conflict of interest, like anything that you signed when you started. I knew I hadn't signed anything like that. Sometimes they call it moonlighting, which means like working in the evenings. So just make sure you didn't sign anything that said you won't do that. If you have questions, your HR is there to help you as well too. I wouldn't worry too much about going to HR and asking them these questions in confidence, that they would be able to direct you to if there was something that you should be aware of. Most people can start side businesses completely legally. So most of you can start a business today. Most of you can start to go get a client. And as soon as I started to get over that fear, like I said, that's when things grew. That's when, I started to get those magazine features, the news article features. I started to be able to get features on our local San Diego news was calling me to do interviews on the news. And I was doing that before work. I was a little late to work those days. But I literally didn't tell him. It was like a different life that I was living. And if they would have seen, but I was prepared. Like I knew at some point they were going to find out. I also was doing speaking events. And so in the evenings, I would go around San Diego doing speaking events at associations. Someone in the audience could have been, my boss or someone I work with as well too. But like I said, I had that moment of like, this is my future. I'm going to put everything into it and see if I can do this, see if I can make this work and quit this day job. So there is that mindset there. There is that mindset of like putting yourself out there and being confident, knowing that your future is waiting for you or your vision. That's why we always start at Classy Career Girl. I always start with a vision journal. If you get our free 90-day planner at classycareergirl.com/free plan, you definitely want to go get that. We start with your vision because if you know where you're headed, it makes other decisions a lot easier. So you're probably wondering, okay, what happened when they found out? Okay, so let's share how my two bosses above me found out. My first boss found out on I had a feature in People's Style Watch magazine, and she went on vacation, and she came back from her vacation and said, "Hey, Anna, I was reading People's Style Watch." And I saw your face, like you were interviewed in People's Style Watch magazine. I can't believe it. Now, here's how that conversation happened. She was so pumped and excited for me. Like there was none of this, "Oh, I can't believe you do that on the side," or "I can't believe like that's affecting your work," which it wasn't. "I can't believe you do." There was no negativity. She was proud of me. She thought that was so cool and so awesome. And so sometimes we're like scared of what our bosses would think. I was scared of what she would think, when she found out, because I knew at some point, she was going to find out. Um, but she thought it was so cool. So you never know, that might happen. And my other boss, he found out through LinkedIn. So there was some post, I tried not to post too much on LinkedIn. That's what I do tell clients. Like I would focus mostly on Instagram. You can create a brand name like Classy Career Girl. It doesn't have my name on it anywhere. You can create this brand around your business. So focus mostly on Instagram. There was something I must have actually, I don't even know how he found out through something on LinkedIn because I didn't post on LinkedIn. I wasn't posting actively on LinkedIn because I knew I was connections on LinkedIn with a lot of people that I worked with at my day job. So I try not to make that my main strategy. I think there was some article I was featured in that he saw. So I don't even think that it was my posts. I don't even think I was connected. I'm not sure if I was even connected with him. I don't think it was anything I did that he saw, but he saw some other article I was included in, some feature I was in. Because at that time, I started to get a lot of features like Forbes and Wall Street Journal. All these. There was guest posting was like really big then as well. So I would like submit my articles around to different sites, and just getting a lot of. So I think that's how he came across my name. And same thing. How cool. That is so cool. Um, it kind of reminds me of when I finally, off topic here, but when I finally quit my day job and I called up HR with my like 6 week old, and I said, gave my 2 weeks notice and said, I'm not going back to work after maternity leave. And I was so worried about that conversation. And she was like, "That's so awesome. I wish I could do that." And then I ran across other people I used to work with, and they were like, they're jealous. They were like, that is so neat that you did that. And like, I wish I could start a business and quit this job as well too. Like, I don't like my job here as well. So you can't think it's going to be negative. You have to, most people you work with, you spend so much time with them, they're probably going to find it really neat what you're doing on the side as well too, especially if you're solving problems and helping people and making a bigger impact in the world and accomplishing your vision and going after your goals. I mean, that is something people look up to. They don't think negatively for you on that. So, first, we talked about reviewing your contract, looking through that. You're probably okay. The second one is making sure you create clear boundaries between work and your personal life. And so, this was really important for me to have time set aside where I'm working in my business and when I'm working on my day job. Now, this is really easy. There were days when I was going into a physical site, a physical office. I was going to the government facility and doing consulting. And that's really easy to be able to have clear boundaries. But if you're working from home, you have to be very careful with this. Towards the end of my day job, I did eventually switch to part-time. There's a whole other story about that happening. I switched to part-time, and then I was able to work from home during that time as well, too. And so when I was working from home, I had to be very good about not doing anything business related when I was working for my day job at that time. And so I had set hours. My clients knew when they could get a hold of me. I would be active on email during those times. I would be active on our, any sort of discussion groups that were happening. I would be calling people so people could know that I am working during those hours. I'm active, I'm available. I would respond to emails very quickly. I think that is very important that you block that time aside so your company knows when those hours are, especially if you're working at home. And then also don't use any sort of like company laptop, company email, or obviously time for your side business. Sometimes I see this. I get, people opting into, our free planner, our career coach startup kit, all of the things I give out for free, our free webinars, and I see people use their work email addresses. I would much rather you just use your Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever you got. Don't opt into things, or business things, or like, and don't do anything like work related with your business lap or with your company laptop, with your company email. Start your own, because when you make that transition, you're not going to have their email. You're not going to have any of your laptop. Like I used to have a company laptop, and I would travel around with it. And so when I was doing this on the side, I had to make that transition. So anything my Classy Career Goal related, I did on my personal laptop, and not my company laptop. And I think that was very important to keep those boundaries safe, and just to know that I will eventually be using my own laptop when I have, like, we're setting goals here. And that's a big thing we do here is we set goals, we set the vision, we know where we're headed, we know what the future is. So maybe that is something you want to budget for is buying yourself your own computer, your own laptop, so that you don't have to use your company laptop. And then the third one is you can use privacy strategies. So like I talked about in the beginning, my branding was Classy Career Girl. I didn't put my name out there. I didn't put my face out there. I didn't put anything, any background of me out there. I had a neutral business name, wasn't my personal name. It was kind of like my alias at that time. So if you're just starting, just do that. Like you can build a brand around a name, and even trademark that name and build up your company around that name. You don't have to be a Tony Robbins and build your business under your name. You can create that alias, and I would recommend that just in general as well too, is to have that brand that you're building, and so it doesn't all rely on you. And then keeping your business data, on your personal computer, your personal phone, and then networking, building your authority, outside of work, doing speaking events, attending networking events, meeting people outside of work. So you have a whole other community, because when you do leave that day job, it's kind of a bummer. You lose a lot of those relationships and friends that you see every single day, and they do replace you very fast. You can't imagine how fast that they replace you. You think you're irreplaceable. You think no one can do the job as great as you. And you find out a couple weeks after you're gone, they've replaced you, someone else is doing it, and it's not even you don't even need to worry about that anymore, because now you have this business and you're doing it full time, and you're so glad you started to put yourself out there even when you were employed in your day job. So just to summarize, we talked about making sure you review your contract, review compliance, review anything that you signed, review, whether there's a direct competition in the type of work that you're going to do, or if you want to change your niche a little bit, change your product a little bit, so there's not that direct competition with your day job. Some people do. I have had clients who wait until they quit. I had a client, Jennifer, who was one of my very first clients, and she quit her day job. And on that same day, she got her first client, because when she quit, she was worried to do anything on the side. So she didn't want to sell it all on the side. She wanted to wait till that day that she actually quit. And so she quit her job on her last day. She told like she was a manager at the time. So she told people what she was doing, and she got her first client on that day, because people were like, oh, I need that in my life. I need you to help me. And so she ended up getting her client on her final day of her day job. So some people wait, and that is totally fine to do as well too. You have to figure that out. I needed the income coming in. I wanted to cash flow. I wanted to have that safety and security, knowing that I have clients when I would quit my day job. job. And that was really helpful. I knew there was a dollar amount that I had in my vision and my goal, that I knew that I needed to make on a monthly basis so that I could quit my day job. Create those clear work boundaries, personal boundaries with your laptop, with your time, and then feel free to use privacy strategies. Go test out Instagram, go test things out and start to build your brand with an alias name. That way you kind of learn how to use Instagram. You learn how to make a reel, learn how to do stories. You don't not have to show your face. Most of my stuff now is not, I don't even show my face on Instagram anymore. You don't need to. You just don't need to. But you can learn how to do that. Follow our stuff. You can see kind of how I'm doing it as well. And there's a lot of ways that you can grow your business. Okay, so no fear. Build a business, be intentional about it. Every day, look at that vision journal, create a vision board, look at it every single day. Even if it's just like my vision journal that I read every morning, it's maybe 10 sentences, but it has my vision. And so I can kind of walk into that every single morning and know where I'm headed, know where I'm going, know all the tasks that I'm going to do that day are going to be focused on helping me reach that vision for myself. So right now, if you need a vision journal, you can go to classycareergirl.com/free plan, get our 90-day planner. We are also in our enrollment for our fall career coach certification cohort. So I'm super excited about this. We have a fast track, a 90-day career coach certification program that is happening this fall. And we have some bonuses that are happening right now. So if you are interested in that, you want to get started with our career coach startup kit, and that will kind of walk you through the steps that I recommend to become a career coach. And you can get that at www.classycareergirl.com/coach webinar. And after you watch that webinar, if you want to explore the certification program more and talk to me about it and get my recommendation, ask me questions, all that stuff, then you'll find the application for the career coach certification program, and then we can chat through it. So those calls are super fun. I love doing them. I have openings on Fridays. So you can book a call with me and we can talk about becoming a career coach and getting you started. So I hope you guys have a great week. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you next week.